Budgeting, the B word. A lot of people hate budgets, including myself. And the reason is that there is a misconception that budgets are always the same for everyone. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why budgets should not be a one size fits all, or rather, you can customize budgeting according to your own habits and your own personality, according to your own preferences. So first, let's get into why budgeting matters. Now, it is a well-known fact that when you start budgeting or you incorporate budgets in your financial life, in your daily life, it gives you a lot of clarity about where your money is going and what you are doing with your money, because money is an essential part. It's a limited resource that we have, or at least in the short term. I'm not saying that you cannot earn a lot of money, but it definitely whatever amount you are earning today, you still need to keep track of that. It is not something that you want to waste. And when you look at this, then having control of that or having an understanding of where that money is going is another name for budgeting. Now, there are two ways to look at budgeting. One is that are you only keeping track of what you spent on, or let's say what has happened in the last few months? That's one way to start budgeting. And a lot of financial experts say that you should look at the last 3 to 6 months of your expenses and create a budget based on that. The other way to look at it is futuristic. That means once you know typically where you are spending your money, you can start afresh and think about where do you want to spend your money. That means now you turn it on its head and say it's not about tracking my money, it's about creating a spending plan. That means I want to tell my money where to go and I want to use it according to my values, according to my preferences, according to things that I love to do. And that way, what happens is you start allocating money towards more meaningful goals and not towards those wasteful expenditure. But how do you do this? Now, some people are like to do this on a daily basis. Some people like to do it on a weekly basis. Yet somebody may say, okay, I just want to set the budget for a month, and then I'll come back to this at the end of the month. And I know that I just want to live my life in between. So that's one way of looking at it. And what happens with this is that you cannot force one type of budget onto everyone. And I have seen this while working with several clients, that when I introduce one of the budgeting methods, that I can sense that whether that person is comfortable with it or they are feeling some kind of a discomfort, that this is really not for me. I don't like to do it every day, or I don't like this format, or I don't really like tracking these categories to so much of detail. So it really depends on what that person likes to do, and also at the same time what their financial situation is at this point. And I have done several videos on the SWOT analysis and the financial reboot. That means before you get into budgeting, there are two things that are very important, and rather two steps. The first one is taking stock of your finances. You should know that what do you own today? What resources do you have? What kind of cash flow are you generating every month? That means what's your income? What are your roughly expenses? And what other debt payments do you have? How much are you spending on housing? So you have to do all of these in a very structured form. And if you want more details, go to one of my videos about financial reboot. And then the second step is when you are doing this, it will automatically prompt you towards thinking about the financial goals, because all of us wants to go from where we are to somewhere better in our financial state, isn't it? So when you do that the next step is really our goal. That means if I ask anybody what are your, like, where do you want to go with your finances? Some people may say, oh, I'm saving up for a new home, so I just want that to happen smoothly. I don't have a lot of liquid savings, so I'm always worried about emergencies. So maybe he or she needs to build up an emergency fund. Or somebody may be saving up for their college, for their kids going to college, so they'll focus on that college education fund. And then, of course, a lot of us who are in their middle ages or even kind of start to see retirement as an option now, will be worried about, do I have enough money for my retirement? So really, when you look at all of these financial goals, these things should become part of your your budget planning. And so that is another very high level way of looking at of creating a budget, creating a spending plan, that really all the income that is coming in, I just cannot spend all of them as I wish. I need to take care of these financial goals. And from the SWOT analysis or from that financial reboot state that I talked about, if I have some weaknesses, maybe I have a lot of debt that I need to pay off, I need to save up for a 6 months emergency fund. So when you take into account all of these goals, these will start putting some kind of constraints or some kind of mandatory sections in your budget. And then once you take care of these, the leftover money should be spent for your expenses. Now it is possible that you have created so many goals that you have hardly anything left for your expenses, and which means that your goals are now not realistic, or maybe you are trying to achieve too many things at the same time. So you need to do a prioritization there and figure out that, okay, which goals are really important at this point, what you can afford. And if all of those are important and you cannot afford them, then maybe in the short term you need to stop saving money for one or two of them and instead focus on growing your income, so that more money will come in and you'll be able to restart saving for those goals. And then when you look at your expenses, that's the part where you can actually do either like you can start micromanaging your budget, or you can do several different ways. And this is where the personality traits come in, that if you are a very detailed oriented planner, maybe you would like to have every dollar, or you like to account for every dollar of your income or your paycheck, and you will create a plan based on that maybe $20 here, $200 for my electricity bill, maybe $100 for this entertainment, $150 for eating out. So that's a detailed oriented budget that some people like to do, and sometimes it's helpful when you are just starting to take control of your finances, or you have some kind of weakness in your finances, like you have a lot of debt that you want to pay off. So doing a detailed oriented planning starts showing you where you are, where you don't want to spend money. That means you allocate your money to these, and anytime you are overshooting these categories or you are having to spend in other categories, it will make you aware that, okay, this is not what you planned for, and you are going like away from your plan, or you are kind of violating your own spending plan. So that way, do a detailed oriented planning if that is what you like. And there are several tools like Every Dollar from Dave Ramsey's organization. There's YNAB, You Need a Budget, and there are several other budgeting tools that you can use. Or you can simply use an Excel sheet to do that allocation, and then keep track of what you are spending in each of the categories. The next one could be a very high level planner. And as I talked about myself, like I like to do that high level planning. So I always start from the current situation of my finances. What do I want to improve on? What financial goals am I setting for myself? And then I backtrack those goals into how much monthly amount that I need to allocate to each of those goals. And that way it gives me kind of a ratio based budget, where I know that 30% will go to my goals. Maybe another 20-30% goes towards my housing costs, because I have a mortgage, I have to pay property taxes, insurances, I have to save up for maintenance, and maybe I have a couple of other debts by design or by circumstances. And then the remaining amount, again, I can divide it into different things. I can divide it into, let's say, my fixed bills. Maybe 20% of that goes to paying all the fixed bills, all the subscriptions that kind of run my life. And I'm not going to stop them because they are really important for me and my family. And then the next category could be the value spending part. That means things that I really like to spend on, right? Like I like to spend on books and courses. I sometimes like to eat out. So that's a priority. And then you'll have the other category also, which are essentials, like your groceries, running your car, so gas for your car. It could be some other things which are essential in your life, like could be insurance payments, things like that. Or if you have pets, then maybe you have a recurring expense for your pet. So those kind of things. So once you do this macro level analysis, then you can leave the details for a month-end exercise. Or if you suddenly see that you are running out of money or you are low on cash, then you can go and see what happened or what really went wrong. maybe you did not realize that you were going to Starbucks too often, and that's when you fall back into the detail oriented structure. And the beauty of these things is, let's say you have sent out $1,000 for your kids' college savings fund, and that is not something you want to track. As long as it has happened, you can see that it has been auto debited from your bank account. And similarly for other goals. So what is left for you to go into that detailed oriented mode is really the expenses part of it. And so you are kind of having a hybrid mode now, where at the top level you plan based on ratios, and only for a portion of that one of the ratios or one of the buckets, you are really going a deep dive and figuring out what really happened that it went above budget, right? So that's another way of doing. And then maybe if it is happening consistently, you need to keep track of that for a couple of months till you set that right and you cut out all the other unnecessary expenses that was causing it to go above. And I'll give you an example. Very recently, I figured out that I was spending a lot of money in my automated subscriptions, and I was myself surprised that it was way above my knowledge or my understanding of. Like, I was always counting the normal ones, right? My phone bills, subscriptions, the Netflix subscription. There are a few other subscriptions that I've enabled, like Spotify, Apple Music, and so on. But then I was seeing that all of these mentally do not add up to what I was actually spending on subscriptions. Then I went very closely and looked at it, and there were a lot of subscriptions which I had enabled at some time, and I even forgot about the websites to go and disable them. I could not find out. There was like 1 or 2 transactions which was happening every month for last several months, and I did not know where to go. I did a lot of searches. I tried to find in my emails, and I could not find any trace of who turned on that subscription and when it was turned on, why it was turned on, and in some cases even what that service is about. So look at your subscriptions, look at your budget, and see if you have things like this. And it is very useful to, even if you are a high level kind of budget planner like myself, it is very useful to do this exercise once upon a time and really do a deep dive to uncover such truths. And if you're wondering what I did, so the only option for me was to kind of report a fraud to my bank, and what they did was they actually stopped that credit card. So now all the other subscriptions are coming back to me through emails and other ways, saying that, okay, your payment has been declined, please give a new pay. So now I can start afresh, and I can enable only those subscriptions that I really want to enable and I really want to continue. So this is another way, but this was kind of a more drastic way for me to put a stop to a lot of unnecessary subscriptions that I may have signed up, or I don't know what was going on. Then, so these are the two main ways of budgeting. As I said, one is the ratio based budgeting, and the other is the detailed oriented, and you are welcome to kind of create a blend for yourself as well. The other angle of budgeting is also, some people like to do it in a very simple way. You can even do it with a simple notebook where you just write down your expenses. And this is an old way of budgeting that we have seen with our parents, and maybe some people still do that. And a more sophisticated version of that is the digital version of that. That is, you have an Excel sheet where you are writing down your expenses. And then you can go even a bit more automated, where there are several apps on the market where they will track your bank accounts, or you can manually enter the transactions at the end of the day, every day. And that way you keep track of, you are doing a detailed oriented budgeting in a way, but now you are using technology behind the scenes. So that is another thing to think about, that what are you comfortable about? Do you want to do it through an app? Do you want to give access to for the app to pull data from your bank account in an automated way, or do you want to enter transactions yourself? So these are different things that you can think about. The fourth part that I really like about, some people actually like this, is they are visual learners. So they want to see their budget visually. And there was a tool that we created called startyourmoneyright.com. If you go into that site, it's called www.startyourmoneyright.com. Then it is a financial planning tool completely free from my organization. And what we do there is for every page of whether of those planning tabs that you go into, you'll be able to see that we create these charts and graphs, and that is sometimes very easy for me to explain to clients or for people to see their budget in action, their money in action. That means when you see that your monthly budget is kind of in a very simple pie chart, that this much is going to housing, this much is going to my savings and investments, and this is what is for my lifestyle expenses. And then you can break it down further. Even in your lifestyle expenses, these are fixed, these are variable, these are things that are for fun and entertainment. So even I like to see at the end of the year or sometimes every few months that how my spending is spread across different categories, and seeing it in a visual way has a different kind of appeal, has a different kind of sense of control for yourself if you are a visual learner. So how to choose the right method? And here is where I think you need to decide for yourself that are you too much analytical or not, and that may be where you want to really work with the numbers, you want to see all the details of a number, and you are not satisfied at just a ballpark number. So you want to see to the lowest denomination of the dollar or the cents, and that way maybe a detailed planning budget will be better for you. But on the other hand, if your personality is more, let's say, just planning oriented personality like me, then you will like that ratio based budget, and then feel free to mix the two. And then if you are very kind of tech savvy, where you want things to be automated, that at any point of time you should open your phone and see your be able to see your spending, your budgets, then maybe you will actually use one of the apps like both YNAB and Every Dollar and few other newer apps that are in the market. All of them have a mobile app, so you can just download those into your cell phone and be able to use them. The other kind of thing is, like, as a budgeting person, is when you take control of your money, are you more goal oriented or are you more, let's say, spontaneous? That means a person who is spontaneous may decide that once I set the things according to my values, it does not matter whether I'm spending a little bit more on this category versus that category, and they will have a very dynamic budget in mind. That means they, in the YNAB terminology, what they call is roll with the punches. That means it is okay, give yourself permission to spend on one category a little bit more. Maybe this month you had reason to eating out more. Like it happens with me also, when me or my family, when we are traveling, definitely the eating out budget goes much higher, sometimes even double than what it usually is. And then maybe that month we will cut down on other things. Maybe we did not spend on things that we would have in buying groceries or things like that, or let's say filling up gas because we were somewhere else and traveling by public transport, things like that. So experiment with different methods and see what really suits you, what really appeals to you. And I have myself moved from one method to other, and I keep coming back. I sometimes do a hybrid of these methods, and that has really helped me personalize it for myself. But I would say after you experiment for 3 to 6 months, do settle onto one style, because if you really want to grow your net worth, if you really want to kind of improve your finances, budgeting is a very important part. And also, if you want to achieve your financial goals, unless you actively save money for those goals, you will not be able to reach those goals. And finances are all about numbers. Like one of the major portion is about numbers. So unless you hit those numbers, you are not going to suddenly have those goals be successful in part of you. So I hope you like this video, and if you need help with budgeting or selecting the right kind of budget, do contact me. Send me a DM or an email at info@startyourfinancesright.com, and I help with my client all the time. I'm also a certified YNAB budgeting coach, so I know all the different. I have worked with different like case studies of clients of different budgeting mentalities and what they are trying to achieve. So again, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up button below, and see you till the next video. Thank you.